At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a very windy day as you're looking live at the windsock on the top of the pylon at the start-finish line on the main straightaway. But the winds don't deter the racers. We've now seen speeds above 230 miles an hour. This is the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and this is Indy Live. Once again to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Paul Page on what has been a very, very windy day, and that's made it tough on some of the rookies. We'll talk to one in just a moment, but there are also veterans out on the race course, one that is being watched worldwide. He, of course, is none other than Nigel Mansell, the defending PPG Cup champion. He's with Gary Lee.
Sports history, the only man ever to win the Formula One title, then coming back it up the next year with the IndyCar title. I have to ask you, as you come back a second year with all the swirl of activity around your appearance here last year, is it easier this year to focus on what you're doing?
It's a little bit easier, yeah. I mean, it's more enjoyable too. I mean, other than the fact it's very windy today, we've had a great 3 days here.
But you're working today with the backup car, correct?
Oh, we went out in the race car this morning and turned, I think it was 225.7 or 8, and the backup car in the windy conditions, we've just done the 223, so, we're up to speed on both cars now.
We're delighted to have you over here and back for another season to defend that title.
Well, thank you very much.
There he is, Ball, Nigel Mansell.
So there's a man that is many people's pick as a potential winner of the race. But what about the drivers that come here for the first time? How do they feel about Indianapolis? Well, right now, a veteran owner and a first-time driver. Here's Derek Daly.
And one of the best-known names and teams here at the Speedway, of course, belongs to Rick Gallis because of your past success. Rick, it is a long time since '83 when you brought Al Unser Jr. here as a rookie. Do you think you have another potential star here?
You bet we do. I'm real proud of Adrian. He's taken his time. Today we went out on purpose and ran in the wind so Adrian could get used to it, and I was real proud of what he's doing, and we're looking forward to the rest of the month.
Rick, as a team owner, can you draw on how you taught Al Jr. and try and bring the same type of discipline to Adrian?
Well, I wouldn't say I taught Al Jr. I think that these guys have talent, and I think it's up to the car owner and the team to bring along that talent by giving them as good equipment as you can, so that they don't have to worry about the equipment out on the racetrack. So it's really the natural talent and their hard work and the team's hard work.
Adrian, 217, 218 today, but you're very happy with that speed, even though it's not above the 220 range.
Yes, because we closed the gap from yesterday, and the wind today was very hard, and it's very difficult. But it was good for me to get the experience. It changed a lot of your line through the corners, and we matched our time from yesterday today, and so we closed the gap with the top guys. So we should be, if we improve tomorrow a little bit more, I think we will be in good shape.
I guarantee you, everybody in Mexico watches what Adrian Fernandez does. Paul?
And definitely one of the young drivers to watch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As that last shot was an indicator, because the wind blowing the hair so much, it has been very windy here today. Not so, though, at the end of the day yesterday. This is just before the end of the run. Raul Boesel yesterday, 230.4 miles an hour. Now remember, that's not one of those highly touted Penske cars. That's the good old Lola combination with a Ford engine. Boesel was happy with it.
It seems to me that you keep coming on in a very quiet manner, and you guys keep sneaking up on it, and all of a sudden, like, you're one of the fastest runners out here.
Yeah, we make improvements from day one. We arrive here with a good car from the start, and we keep sneaking in, like you say, improve all the time, little by little, and until we got that speed.
Of course, one of the new members in that team, there he is, right at the left edge of your screen, Morris Nunn. Great aerodynamicist and engineer. Is he part of the system?
Your team gets stronger and stronger every year as you learn more about being an owner and putting it together. But I have to also believe that the addition of Mo Nunn has certainly helped the cause.
Yes, actually last year we sat on the front row and Morris was on the pole, and we kind of felt if we could team together, maybe we could Obviously, a lot's changed since last year, though, and the Penske cars can perhaps change our goal. Our goal is to sit the pole, and I thought with the addition of Morris to the team, it would help us to do that.
But what about those Penskes? The 31 car is Al Unser Jr., 226.478 miles an hour. Now, that's a 55-inch of boost engine, and they're still having trouble getting the valves to work right at that particular boost. You saw him a few seconds ago. Here he is earlier in the day. Nigel Mansell at better than 225 miles an hour, trying to learn what he can about the car in the wind here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And, of course, his teammate is Mario Andretti, who keeps track of that car very closely, and they have been working together. Again, the advantage of a two-car team is they can share different setups, go two different directions, and then come back and find out what it's doing for each and every car. Mario Andretti, he was out today. Big fin on the back of that car at 228.3 miles an hour. But then later in the day, Mario decided that may have been a little too much, and the fin came back off the car. As the afternoon moved along, then the winds began to build and build and build, and it's been very gusty throughout the afternoon. The windsock almost totally out just a few moments ago. Now, there's some other drivers doing very well here that we've not mentioned yet. From Formula One, Mauricio Gugelmin, as he climbs into his Reynard mount, and he's had some fairly good speeds, 221.2. Again, that's for a new driver.
This morning, despite the wind, we managed to pick up some speed, and that was quite good considering the quick guys were running slower than yesterday because of the track conditions. So we just decided to park right now and wait the wind to drop a little bit.
For me, it was too windy. I've been here before where it's very windy and you just don't really learn a lot. But we had to shake down a brand new car, so we did that. But I still think we spent too much time out there because you can't really learn much. The wind in turn two, went into turn two, and all of a sudden the car was sideways, and it was just strictly the wind that did that.
Well, it makes the car work different in every corner. On some corners you have a tailwind, and it's blowing up the back of the car, and other corners it's a headwind, and it's blowing across the front. So it changes each corner is a little bit different. So you got to pay attention to the windsock to make sure how stiff it is and in which direction it's blowing. When you're coming down the front straight, the windsock's on top of the scoring tower. But we made some gains from yesterday, even though the wind is blowing pretty good today. We ran 223, and we're making some gains with the car. So you know, every day if we can go a little bit better, and come weekend, I think we're going to be able to qualify solid.
So the wind very definitely a problem today. Derek and I have been keeping track of that throughout the day. We have some more information we'll share with you on what the wind does to a race car at Indianapolis in just a few moments. But time waits for no man, especially a man with the distinction of Paul Newman, who is now with Gary Lee.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know whether to introduce Paul as a race driver or race car owner, part of Newman Haas, but he also drives race cars. But you tell me you've been married to Joanne for 36 years. If you drive a race car again this season, that could be all over.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said you've been married for 36 years, and you say if you go racing now, you may have to get divorced.
Well, she's getting scratchy about it now. She says I barely have a pulse, and there's hardly any reason for me to get in a car.
Well, let's talk about your role as a car owner. Arrivederci Mario. You've been with Mario for a number of years as a car owner. What's it going to be like without him next year?
Well, it's going to be terrible, but, I mean, he's had about as spectacular a career in racing as you can possibly have. He could have quit 10 years ago, and it still would have been spectacular, so he'll be sore missed.
Well, he's climbing out of the car right now. Speaking of a spectacular career, how about the career that this guy's had right here? We'll throw it back to you, Paul, and try to grab Mario.
I remember that at one time, Mario Andretti and I were talking with Paul, and Paul Newman said, you know, if he discovered racing before he discovered acting, well, the upshot of it was there wouldn't be any Academy Awards for Paul Newman. We'll be back in just a moment. We're back live at Indianapolis. Top speed of the month, 230 miles an hour, Raul Boesel. Today, Al Unser Jr. was quick at 226.4, followed by Nigel Mansell at 225.8, and then Mario Andretti at 225.5. Let's go back to Gary Lee.
I have corralled Mario. He's standing by with Paul. Now, Paul, what was that remark you made to him?
I told him, I said, I've had a longer career as an actor than he has as a driver, and I'm not retired.
This obviously is a bittersweet month for you. Arrivederci, Mario. After all these successful years, you're going to walk away from it. Your thoughts now coming into this month, and if you don't get that second victory, are you going to feel like you left something behind with some unfinished business?
No, not really. I'm satisfied with everything that has happened to me up to this point. I'm sincere about that. So anything that comes to me from here on is a bonus. Naturally, I have some mixed emotions about this, but, I don't want to overstay my welcome either. I think I've had plenty of opportunity here, and auto racing has been good to me, so I have to go with that. And believe me, I have a mindset that is working in that direction, so I'm just going to try, as I say, to get the most out of this year, savor every race, and hopefully go away with a smile.
I like his son Michael's remark. He said, Dad's going to be the favorite come race day. Anybody that passes Dad, including me, will get booed, and I believe that.
I tell you what, they're selling Mario Andretti Arrivederci Mario stuff all over the grounds, and you can't get too much of that kind of stuff. Now one of the young drivers, a guy to watch. He's with Derek Daly.
And the wind is still howling around us here, but I know everybody in Northern California will be delighted to see Jimmy Vasser here with us. Jimmy, year 3 here. Do you like the Speedway coming from a predominantly road racing background?
Oh, yeah. With all the tradition that the Speedway has to offer, it's a lot of fun. The way people treat you here in Indianapolis the month of May, they treat you like kings. It's a lot of fun when the car's working good, but just like anything else in life, when things are bad, it's not that fun.
Now, 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago you broke the leg?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Can you put that out of your mind completely? Because that was a pretty bad day on your debut here.
Yeah, I think you put all the bad things out of your mind all the time in racing, at least I do, and if it was still stuck in my mind and I was worried about it, hey, nobody's holding a gun to my head to get in the car.
Jimmy Vasser with one of the best of the smaller teams with Jim Hayhoe Racing.
Well, the winds continue to blow here at Indianapolis. The green light is still on, but with those kind of winds, we're not seeing any spectacular speeds at the moment. Let's take a look at some of the top speeds that we've seen today. We mentioned Al Unser Jr., Nigel Mansell, and Mario Andretti. Michael Andretti right behind his dad. Paul Tracy still not totally comfortable with the handling on his car. And as we look at the bottom half of the top 10, Emerson Fittipaldi in both his backup car and his primary car. Jimmy Vasser, whom you just met. John Andretti moving up to speed, and you saw Mauricio Gugelmin earlier as he comes up above 221 miles an hour. We'll be back with more live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway right after this. Live at Indianapolis. It's still a green race course for practice, and there is some great coverage coming up here on ESPN. On Friday, we'll take a hard look at the race for the pole on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And then Indy Live, of course, we'll have our coverage routinely at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And then, over the weekend, the Indy 500 time trials, starting Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, we're back in the pit area, live here where the winds are bothering us a lot. There are some drivers that are really bothered a lot, Scott Sharp being one of them.
I just went back to the garage area to have a word with Scott to see how he gets on. It's his first time here at the Speedway, remember, and there's such a big learning curve. But he had his first big spook test today because exiting turn 2 on one of his quickest laps, the wind came behind him, put the car into an oversteer slide, and really got the old heartbeat going. Now, the team knew, particularly Alan Mertens, that when that happens, you got to take the driver out, sit him down, and calm him down a little bit, because Scott Sharp is so intense and so keen, he wants to get right back out there and attack it again, which is not the thing to do here.
We said we'd talk more about the wind and the potential of some cars here. These winds today, how much can you really learn?
Very little. Michael ran earlier today, ran quite fast, but the car changed almost every lap that he ran. He decided eventually, what's the point in chasing the wind? We're not going to set the car up for these windy conditions because hopefully you won't have these on race day. But I think the speed potential is probably something we need to touch on. If Bozell did a 230 mile an hour yesterday, you have to presume that that's a privately run team. The factory cars like Mansell and Mario must have the same speed in them. So if you put 2 cars above 130 or 3 at the Penske's, we have the potential at this weekend to have 7 or 8 cars above 230 miles an hour.
How many above 232, the current record, though?
Are 234 or
new
record. Al Jr. said yesterday they are here to take the pole position, probably all the front row positions, and set a new track record on behalf of Penske and Mercedes-Benz.
All right, let's go down and meet one of the other teams. We've been talking so much about Roger Penske. Great racing name, Bettenhausen, and a very powerful team this year. Here's Gary Lee.
Well, certainly Gary Bettenhausen's teammate is Stefan Johansson. And I have to say something. You just moved to Indianapolis from Monte Carlo. Now, I've lived here all my life. I think I'd rather live in Monte Carlo.
Well, I don't know. I like it pretty good here.
You know, with Gary Bettenhausen as your teammate, you have been with Tony Bettenhausen for a couple of years, but obviously now you have Gary as a teammate who can give you all kinds of direction here on this oval.
Yeah, we only really just got started working, so we haven't been able to have that much of a communication yet. But I mean, sure, I don't think there's a man alive that knows this place better than he does. So I'm sure he's going to be able to give me a few hints here and there.
And speaking of Gary Bettenhausen, he's standing by right now with Derek Daly.
Right here, Gary Bettenhausen. The cheer from the crowd every time your name comes on is quite phenomenal. Why do you think you're so popular here?
I don't know, Derek, I guess.
Probably my dad, my family, the whole situation, and they probably feel sorry for me because I'm so old.
52 years young, my man, here.
Gary Bettenhausen, one of the great names in the sport, and one to watch now driving in the team that is named Bettenhausen. It's going to make for a wonderful qualifying coming up this Saturday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more. At Indianapolis, Teo Fabi and his crew looking over their car as they prepare to go out and practice, try to get some time in these windy conditions. A little later on ESPN, the Toronto Blue Jays versus the Baltimore Orioles at 7:30 Eastern. The defending champion Blue Jays travel to Oriole Park at Camden Yard to take on the Orioles in this American League East clash. And then it's the Houston Astros against the Los Angeles Dodgers at 10:30 Eastern this evening. And of course, we've got plenty of racing here for you on ESPN, not only today, but throughout the weekend. The great Indianapolis 500 and the qualifying and time trials. Let's take a look now at some of the speeds of the day for your favorite driver, as we also keep track of some of the cars out on the race course. Unser Jr., Nigel Mansell, they've been at the top of the order. These speeds were set a bit earlier in the day. Mario and Michael, we've mentioned those. 9th and 10th then. Really, we're seeing some new names come into the order. Tracy and Fittipaldi, of course, not necessarily so new. But down at the bottom of the order, names like Jimmy Vasser. You spoke with him earlier. He's looking very solid here. John Andretti, who says that he's going to race not only here, but a stock car in Charlotte on race day.
And everybody will watch just exactly what happens with John Andretti. I hope he does cover 1,100 racing miles on that day, and he will be so tired it'll take him 1,100 days to recover.
Scott Sharp. Of course, Raul Boesel is definitely, in my view, a man to watch.
And that is actually Bozel's time from today, because obviously last night, 3 minutes before the track closed, he did that spectacular 230 miles an hour. And he says there is more left to find in the car.
Scott Brayton, Eddie Cheever, they both are getting as much practice as they can in. Lynn St. James, well, she would like more speed than that, as would Brian Till. Many people say that 220 is probably going to be the low end of the limit.
Oh, I'm not convinced 220 can even make it, as you watch us run through some of the other drivers' times and speeds here, as you watch Dominic Dobson. But Boesel began to hop around some of the other Dick Simon cars today, because remember, he is the experienced man here. They're going to use his setup on the other 94 cars to try and help bring people like Dennis Patola, who's in the team just for this month, back up to speed.
You saw Bobby Rahal there for just a moment in his time and speed. And Bobby Rahal is working with that Honda engine. It's not working very well. I asked him yesterday about it. Would he consider a switch? Because that's the big rumor. He says, absolutely not. I've got to stay with this engine, and that's what I'm going to do. You can see the speed is still in that area that Derek has already suggested to you is marginal.
There's the time for Al Unser today in a windy day, 2:14. They are not happy with that car. Al Unser Sr. is not happy. Remember, he's going to try and win this for an unprecedented 5 times.
There are your top speeds of the month. As we look through the entire field now, Jim Crawford just passed our location. Remember, he's been incredibly fast with those Buick-powered cars, one of the drivers that drives only this race. And yet, when he goes so good.
And he has been spectacular so many times here. But Crawford, here at the Speedway, because of his testing, is as fast as anybody. He knows almost every foot of pavement here.
All right, we'll be back with more from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway right after this. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's go further down pit road and Gary Lee.
Legendary car owner Jim Hall won with Al Sr. back in '78 and Johnny Rutherford with the famous Chaparral in 1980. A brand new chassis for you this year, the Reynard.
Yeah, we're kind of excited about it. The Reynard's been good this year for us so far, and we've run well here the first day. We didn't get to run yesterday when the conditions were just right, but I'm enthusiastic about it. I think we got a shot.
Of course, the driver, Teo Fabi, as a rookie, set on the pole in 1983.
Yeah, he's good here. He is, no question.
Watch that Pennzoil bright yellow, number 11.
And tell you what, Teo Fabi is quick anywhere. Some other guys, Derek Daly, that we haven't talked about that much, that are quick. There are two drivers that you're especially keeping track of. One of them held the pole last year, and that's Arie Luyendyk.
And one of the biggest names here at the Speedway, one of those drivers who has a special talent of being able to drive a car on the ragged edge on a super speedway, and he's always fast here. Not quite yet. He's with a new team this year run by Salin Candela. Multi-talented, experienced engineer, mechanic. They just haven't quite touched the sweet spot on that car yet. And the driver cannot carry a load, carry the baggage around here with him if the car can't do the work.
And then we saw him sit on the outside of the front row at Phoenix, Jacques Villeneuve.
Jacques Villeneuve may be one of the most talented new drivers as we take a look here at Al Unser Sr. doing a final run. But Villeneuve might be one of the most talented young drivers ever to come along. Now, his engineer, Tony Sicali, said the biggest problem they have is trying to slow him down. I mean, he's on such a huge learning curve. He's almost at 224 miles an hour already, and he's never been in a super speedway before. Did run here in the rookie test, but Jacques Villeneuve, like his dad, is a very special talent that they're trying to control and harness.
You kind of just missed it, too. One of the other rookies, Scott Sharp, just went by behind us. And as he has had throughout the entire month, the gigantic smile, you kind of referenced that earlier, what enthusiasm he's having with this thing. And he went by, the crowd gave him a little applause. He was grinning ear to ear.
His dad's here, Bob Sharp, so successful in racing in the past and is living every moment that his son enjoys, too. It's great to see it.
All right, we'll take a look at the top 10 speeds today as we leave you once again live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They dodged the bullet. They said there were going to be thunderstorms. They haven't manifest, but it's been very windy. That means there'll be a great deal more tomorrow. So I'm Paul Page for Derek Daly and Gary Lee. We'll see you tomorrow here live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Racing Constructors Association, Ayrton Senna died because a wheel broke off his car when he crashed, then bounced off a wall, striking him in the head. It is thought that if the tire had bounced slightly in either direction, Senna could still be alive today. The three-time world champion from Brazil died May 1st in the San Marino Grand Prix. Investigations into what caused Senna's accident are continuing.
Speedway produced more laps, approaching 230 miles an hour on a windy afternoon at the old Brickyard in Indianapolis. Did not stop Nigel Mansell, however, who had a lap of 225.8 miles per hour. That was topped only by Al Unser Jr. with a lap time of 226.478 miles an hour, and Mansell's teammate Mario Andretti had the third fastest time, 225 miles an hour, 3. Al Unser with the fastest speed of the day. He has 1 win this season. Nigel Mansell, second fastest. Mario, third. Michael, fourth. Paul Tracy, fifth. Emerson Fittipaldi, of course, a winner at Indianapolis in years gone by. He, too, had a good race today.
Pick as a potential winner of the race. But what about the drivers that come here for the first time? How do they feel about Indianapolis? Well, right now, a veteran owner and a first-time driver. Here's Derek Daly.
And one of the best-known names and teams here at the Speedway, of course, belongs to Rick Gallis because of your past success. Rick, it is a long time since '83 when you brought Al Unser Jr. here as a rookie. Do you think you have another potential star here?
You bet we do. I'm real proud of Adrian. He's taken his time. Today we went out on purpose and ran in the wind so Adrian could get used to it, and I was real proud of what he's doing, and we're looking forward to the rest of the month.
Rick, as a team owner, can you draw on how you taught Al Jr. and try and bring the same type of discipline to Adrian?
Well, I wouldn't say I taught Al Jr. I think that these guys have talent, and I think it's up to the car owner and the team to bring along that talent by giving them as good equipment as you can, so that they don't have to worry about the equipment out on the racetrack. So it's really...
We'll talk to one in just a moment, but there are also veterans out on the race course, one that is being watched worldwide. He, of course, is none other than Nigel Mansell, the defending PPG Cup champion. He's with Gary Lee.
Sports history, the only man ever to win the Formula One title, then coming back it up the next year with the IndyCar title. I have to ask you, as you come back a second year with all the swirl of activity around your appearance here last year, is it easier this year to focus on what you're doing?
It's a little bit easier, yeah. I mean, it's more enjoyable too. I mean, other than the fact it's very windy today, we've had a great 3 days here.
But you're working today with the backup car, correct?
Oh, we went out in the race car this morning and turned, I think it was 225.7 or 8. And the backup car in the windy conditions, we've just done the 223. So, we're up to speed on both cars now.
We're delighted to have you over here and back for another season to defend that title.
Well, thank you very much.
There he is, ball, Nigel Mansell.
So there's a man that is many people's...
The natural talent and their hard work and the team's hard work.
Adrian, 217, 218 today, but you're very happy with that speed, even though it's not above the 220 range.
Yes, we closed the gap from yesterday, and the wind today was very hard, and it's very difficult, but it was good for me to get experience. It changed a lot of your line through the corners, and we matched our time from yesterday today, and so we closed the gap with the top guys. So we should be, if we improve tomorrow a little bit more, I think we will be in good shape.
I guarantee you, everybody in Mexico watches what Adrian Fernandez does, Paul.
And definitely one of the young drivers to watch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As that last shot was an indicator, because the wind blowing the hair so much, it has been very windy here today. Not so, though, at the end of the day yesterday. This is just before the end of the run. Raul Boesel yesterday, 230.4 miles an hour. Now remember, that's not one of those highly touted Penske cars. That's the good old Lola combination with the Ford engine. Boesel was happy with it.
It seems to me that you keep coming on in a very quiet manner, and you guys keep sneaking up on it, and all of a sudden, like, you're one of the fastest runners out here.
Yeah, we make improvements from day one. We arrive here with a good car from the start, and we keep sneaking in, like you say, improve all the time, little by little, and until we got that speed.
Of course, one of the new members in that team, there he is, right at the left edge of your screen, Morris Nunn. Great aerodynamicist and engineer. Is he part of the system?
Your team gets stronger and stronger every year as you learn more about being an owner and putting it together. But I have to also believe that the addition of Mo Nunn has certainly helped the cause.
Yes, actually, last...
At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a very windy day as you're looking live at the windsock on the top of the pylon at the start-finish line on the main straightaway. But the winds don't deter the racers. We've now seen speeds above 230 miles an hour. This is the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and this is Indy Live. once again to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Paul Page on what has been a very, very windy day, and that's made it tough on some of the roads.